I met Josh last year. The poor thing had had a hard time of it, so he let me into his life very quickly. I'd met him as he checked out of the hospital. He'd been allowed to leave when they'd decided he was no longer a danger to himself. His attempt on his own life was reasonably fresh and had visibly taken a toll. His skin was still a shade of grey. Over the coming weeks, I let him open up to me and did nothing but listen. He only offered a little bit at first. He hinted, for example, over a coffee that he'd had a bad relationship with his father. Then that he felt bad for letting his mother down, didn't know how to talk to her about it. I didn't press. I just let him take his time and get comfortable enough to tell me whatever he wanted to tell me in his own time. Soon he was spilling his guts about every little thing that he'd kept bottled up and festering inside, and it was working. He was getting better. I saw him begin to change. He started to look physically well as he recovered from the overdose, but it was more than that. I could see the exhaustion in his eyes lifting as his very soul began to unburden itself of guilt. Within a few short weeks, I was his sole confidant and whatever else he needed me to be, if only it made him happy. I was a trusted friend, a therapist, a lover. Last night, I opened up to him a little bit. "I don't think I should see you anymore," I told him. "I just can't spend my life being dragged down by you. Suicide is cowardly enough, but pretending to try and kill yourself for a bit of attention is so very weak. It's no wonder your father didn't want you. Your mother doesn't either. When she heard you were in hospital and she thought you were dead, she was relieved. Just for a second, and she hated herself for it, but make no mistake, she knows her life would be better without you in it, and deep down, so do you." I left him crying on the bridge. He jumped, of course. They dragged his body out of the river this morning. When I saw it on the news, I pulled out my little red book of names and scored a neat black line through his. My boss will be pleased. Tonight, I'm going to introduce myself to Craig. He likes brunettes. I'll stand outside the community centre at 9ish, just as his group session finishes. He's had a lot of counselling about some of the things he saw on his final tour of duty, and he's just about managed to get past the horrors that made him want to end it all. Just about.